Hi, Amanda here. The goal for today's projects were to clean off my craft space and create some beauty in the process. And I did get 8 cards made. So I had all these scraps from different projects laying on my desk, and it was time to just kind of get out the fun playing with scraps. And it's funny, I was on a Zoom crop with other gals, and I can kind of tell when I was distracted in telling a story and when I can't, but I've edited most of that out of the video. So the background pieces of this with the roses in it is actually from the subscription for the Craft with Heart scrapbook layouts, and I took the card that they sent with it and cut it down, and I'm using it as a card base. In hindsight, it was funny. I saw that butterfly in the bottom right corner of this card, and I was like, oh, I kind of like that. And so I had to stop and go back and look at the finished card because I didn't think I had put the butterfly on it. So I had spent a lot of time kind of sorting stuff out, and I didn't think you needed to see that. And then I was looking at what pieces, parts, and trying different things to give it some dimension so it wasn't so flat. So that's where I'm auditioning those leaves and just trying to figure it out. And I decide, okay, these are going to go here. Sometimes when it's hard to make decisions, if you make some decisions like glue these down that you can't go back from, it helps you move the project ahead. So that's exactly where I was at. This is a zip strip that I'm adding, and at first I thought, oh, I'll just cut a straight edge off with my guillotine cutter, and I realized it's too fine of a line for that cut, so I'll just trim it with scissors. And you didn't have to trim it. I was just being kind of picky. So that's all trimmed. And I'm kind of looking, what sentiments do I want? This is where I'm trying to remember to step back and look at the whole card and not just one small part of it. And with layouts, it's more important because there's, for me, double pages, and you want to get a whole look out. This thankful, or I think it's thankful, image is from the May stamp of the month, so that'll be out and available soon. I really like the font. It looks just like nice, elegant handwriting. So thankful, that's what it says. Oh, and I don't know if you caught that real quick, but I keep my I can't think of the name of it, my stamp cleaner, chamois, in a diaper wipes container. And that container lets enough air breathe that it doesn't get moldy in the stinky feel, but it doesn't allow so much air out that it dries up. And you'll notice on the card that I went ahead afterwards, I didn't film doing it, I grabbed my embellishments and I added the sequins and the bumps and bobbles and all of those kind of things to the cards at the end. So I'm showing you a photo with them fully done. I call those the beauty shots. And this time the zip strip is still on the base paper, so it's one less thing to worry about moving apart, or it's just seamless. And I had colored these butterflies when I was doing the March club project. Gals, I have a subscription that you can buy the club project for each month, or a yearly subscription, and you receive the pieces to assemble whatever our project is that month. Most of the time it's cards. Occasionally there's a project, like I think in November we did Christmas ornaments, but that's on my blog, craftingwithamanda.com, if you want to check that out. But I had colored these butterflies and dragonflies for our March club cards, and they've just been on my desk kind of in the way. We're unpacking boxes still in our moving process, and I'm settling into the studio, which is nice, but I've never really had a studio space or been able to spread out. So I'm trying, and the movers didn't help me because they just put everything in big boxes. So I'm trying to organize and categorize and purge all as I go. So with this card, I wanted some depth to give it some texture. So as you saw, I just grabbed out the embossing folder Swiss dots and ran a white piece of cardstock through. At first I thought I'd put the whole card through, and then I realized mine's not wide enough, but there's more than one way to accomplish a goal. So that's what I did, is just ran a piece through. The reason why I put this little corner color on the bottom, the lagoon, is to anchor or to draw your eye, because it kind of gives weight to the project, down through the butterfly. And that's just a composition kind of trick where you want to just keep your eye moving through the card, so it's something that makes artwork more appealing. And I'm still learning it and trying different things and seeing what I like, and it's fun to just try these things and learn new concepts. I originally had put the shimmer trim in between the zip strip and the yellow plaid, but it really washed out that yellow plaid. So putting it up here across the top, it gives it the shimmer. And the butterfly has shimmer brush on it, and you can't really see it in the photo, but those both shimmer elements really in real life work well together. So now we're moving on to our next card, and this piece is distressed oxide inks that I had played with for a swap that I was doing, and this was leftover, so it was on my desk as part of the leftovers. I wanted to use it. I love these butterflies. They're just die cut with the silver cardstock from Close to My Heart, and that cardstock, the silver, has some weight to it. It's actual cardstock, so these just hold up beautifully for die cutting and on your project as an embellishment. I'm trying different papers behind to kind of bring in the colors that are in the distressed oxides, but I also want to feature this distressed oxide piece. And I'm really glad to see that I went ahead and anchored the left-hand side with that black cardstock. Again, it gives your eye kind of a place to rest. It makes it easier for the mind to take it all in, or at least for me. So then I'm going to try these lagoon petals again, and throughout the whole day you will see me using these, and I don't think they end up on any final project of today's 8 cards. They actually end up back in my scrap bin, and as I was unpacking and processing totes, my scrap bin got fuller and more full, so I definitely need to have another play session with scraps. This came from my little plastic bowl of titles. I just popped out of that up, and on my butterflies, pretty much without exception, I glue the center body straight to my project, and then I'll pop dot the wings just to give it a little bit of lift off the paper. So now we are working, these are cards that I found the cut pattern for, and it might actually be a sneak peek to the card base that we use for our May club card. I like how the left side opens and the right, or the top opens in those triangles. Again, these are just scraps that I had around for different things. I don't remember which project I had the pomegranate cardstock was from our April club card, and that's why those are out, because I used my Cricut to cut some banners. So here I just took a punch and punched multiple of a peach color leaf, and I didn't want to get too fussy with inking the edges, and these are just a nice card to receive, and I'm trying to be more time sensitive. I have a bucket of foliage, I'll call it, of different leaves that I've cut, and I was trying to find some that would work that were pre-done, and I don't know why I put all of my butterflies away and then got all my butterflies out. I think because where I had put them, they were kind of out of sight, and I wanted those as my inspiration. So looking at this card, going back to it, I have the 2 flowers in the bottom, and then it needs a third element of peach. So I was thinking about doing a flower, but I didn't want to do that. So I decided to do the scallop circle, which gives you your element of 3, And it also is a nice, similar size to the flowers, but it'll be a nice backdrop for our sentiment and some more embellishments. So here I'm doing my dry embossing with the leaves. I just make a vein and then the side veins, and it just gives them some depth again without having to go into a whole lot of inking and everything else to bring those out, because you can do that. You can absolutely go back and sponge over those veins and leaves, and that also helps them stand out. You can also sand them because of the white core. All of those are possible. I'm just trying to be quick and easy. This is my embossing folders, so I'm trying to find a folder because the pomegranate base was just a little too plain. Again, trying to give it some texture, and I found this vine embossing folder. Emboss both sides, put that away, and at least for me, I really like the visual effect that the texture gives. And here's my trick. So I cut the rectangle at 5.5 by 4.25 to fit the front, and then cut it from corner to corner. And now to give yourself a full border, like so it looks like it's matted, you just cut off the bottom of your triangle, and that allows you to slide it down and get your white edges all the way around. So that's my tip on dealing with triangles. So now we're going to dry fit everything to make sure that it's going to fit on the card front and look the way we want. I strongly recommend dry fitting, just so it gives you a chance to make changes without having to risk tearing paper from pulling up glue. So I decided not to glue the sentiment scallop circle down for that reason of, oh, what direction are we going to go in here? And I got out my gold thread, and I'm going to make some loops, and I always use a glue dot to kind of hold those together, because then it's just, it works so well. So you kind of make the loops different sizes, and then I fold the tiny glue dot around the ends. And the hardest part of this, as you saw, is pulling it off of the plastic from the glue dot holder. So there's the 3 gold rings. I'm going to pop the sentiment over top of that. I cut this down, and it's not on camera, but I ended up cutting it so it was off center. I had another triangle thank you in my sentiment bucket, so I grabbed that and did it better the next time. So now, because of the black centers on the peach flowers, I just thought some black tiny leaves would kind of give some relief. Again, I'm going to just quick use my dry embossing stylus, and from the back side of the leaf, and in black it really doesn't matter, but in some other colors it does, but on the back side of the leaf I curl them up, and then when you flip them over, the leaf is like an upside down bowl, and then I just tuck those in different spots. I really like how this card turned out. In fact, I ended up making a second card that you'll see here later on. I didn't do the video walkthrough of it because it's the same process of the first one, but I did do the gold ribbons different and the embellishing a little different. I really like how these turned out. I didn't stamp anything in the centers of any of them yet, and I will do that along with the envelopes later. So now I'm cutting down this other piece of distressed oxide paper. This was a leftover piece. It was a trial and error for our April slimline cards, and I thought it would be the back for the lilac, but the colors were just too bold for the soft pastels of the lilac that I picked. But it's going to work out beautifully here with a dragonfly that I colored in March, so stay tuned for the update on this. And then this card, the rest of the distressed oxides, easy for me to say, ends up going on that piece that has smile and the rainbow colors around the edges. And I don't know what happened to my video on that card, but I do show you the card at the end. So here I'm trying to see if I want to bring those colors from the edge, like cut off the side of that smile. And I decide, nope, I'm just going to keep it simple. And then I keep bringing the red in as a piece here, and then I'll bring it in as a banner later. I think I also have a scallop circle of it that I try to put in. And I finally realized there is no red anywhere in this dragonfly. So let's just keep this in the red, green, blue family. And it turns out really pretty. And I learned this, I'm going to curve the wings to the dragonfly. You will see that later, so be on the lookout for it, with my bone folder right here. And I learned that from one of my friends, Deb. She did it on a card in March, and I was like, all right, I am doing that from now on. So there's my tip. Curve the edges of your insect wings, whether it's butterflies or dragonflies if you want. I really like how that, in real life, it's stunning. It's like it's coming off the page. So, and then just a little bit of yellow for the top. I think that's actually Distress Oxide yellow, but I'm not sure. It could have just been a piece of cardstock that, again, was in my plethora of scraps. And that Well Hello was, again, stamped in blue and in my sentiment bucket. So it just worked out really well. One more time, doing my gold ribbon wrap with the glue dot. Pinch that on. Ooh, that time it came off pretty easy from the plastic. Yay. That's always like one of the challenging parts to me, is getting that. And you kind of shove it up under, and I'll end up playing with that a little later. And I added 3 blue enamel dots in the bottom left, and that's the card. So this card I start to cut down, and I don't end up, again, I'm not sure what happened to the footage. I know family was coming in that day, and like I said, I was on a craft Zoom video, and so sometimes I didn't get the camera on at the right times or off at the right times. I actually recorded myself eating my lunch that day, which was shrimp scampi that I had made, and and so I deleted that video because we didn't need to see my bowl of shrimp scampi disappearing. So again, this is the center of a card that came in the Craft with Heart scrapbook subscription, and I had used the top and the bottom of it, if you remember, for the first card. So now I'm playing with the Happiness Never Grows Old part of it, and just auditioning different things, seeing what works, what doesn't work. For me, that rainbow stayed on the screen way too long because it was definitely not a good tone-on-tone. I lost more footage of this, but that's how that card turned out, which I really like. It's a slimline card. So now I'm going back to this red strip. Yay, it finally works with the butterfly. So it's interesting going back and seeing how I try different things, and based on what's on the scrap pile and around me, and some of what's quick and easy. And now I'm seeing like that dragonfly that I pushed up, and those 2 flowers that are upside down. I think those colors work together. So I might have to go dig out my scraps again and just put together a real quick card just with those pieces, because quick and easy decisions done. So now I'm punching some leaves out of the green. And I know that I will again dry emboss those to give them more depth and texture. And I dry fit, see where the leaves are going to work, what's going to be jumbled, what isn't. We need something coming off the backside. So I kind of like that. On top of the banner is a piece of the silver cardstock, kind of like the mirrored cardstock. And I will end up cutting a banner piece out of that later. So I'm folding my butterfly. The center will be glued down. I needed something to anchor it so it wasn't just floating. Again, just grabbed my punch and punched out a piece of the blue cardstock that was on my desk. Seeing if there's anything else we need to add here. And in my sentiment bucket, there's all these tiny namaste sayings, and I think there's so many people right now that, even though the vaccine is rolling out, and but schools are starting back in session, at least out here in California, that we kind of need a reminder, of peace, and that it's, take a breath. So I was really excited to find the Namaste sentiment. And that little bit of silver just really works with the card. Again, I'm dry embossing these leaves from the back, and you can kind of see how it gives it some depth and some texture in the project. All of those are things that are kind of important for artwork. Not that my cards are artwork, but it is kind of nice to do your best on something and learn something in the process. And here on that silver, I also punched some. Again, that cardstock, because it's so firm, allows it to hold its shape. I did go ahead and do dry embossing on the base of the card. As you can see, it's kind of a floral print. And we're just gluing everything together. Glue the body of the butterfly down, have the wings with some foam tape underneath it so it pops up. This is all repeatable. And then I'll sneak these leaves in. And I found instead of gluing the leaves down first and then finding the right spot for the butterfly, since the butterfly is the focus, by tucking the leaves in underneath it afterwards, it kind of, it makes it a little easier, less likely to make a mistake as far as making the leaves the focus versus the butterfly the focus. So now I'm just taking the papers off the back of that foam tape, and there's the card done. I did add some sequins to this to kind of tie in the other silver elements. Really like how this one turned out. This is the card that I don't have the video for, so that was our last card, and I really like how that turned out as well. So I hope you have a great day. Here's some more videos that you might be interested in. If you're not already one of my subscribers and you would like to join us, please hit the subscribe button. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. That just helps so that other people will get the opportunity to see this video. Have a great day. Thank you.